Welcome to the first episode of the Arter Project podcast. I'm your host, Nick Arter, and this is it. This is the very first episode. Kind of want to spend just a few minutes in this first episode going over, what I hope to accomplish with this platform, as well as give you guys a little bit of background information on myself and who I am as well. If you're not already familiar, this podcast, the main topic of this podcast is covering psychedelics, specifically in relation to their potential to treat mental health conditions like anxiety, depression, and PTSD. We also want to just kind of chronicle and document what people are dubbing the psychedelic renaissance. Many prestigious universities like Johns Hopkins and NYU, they're leading the charge for researching psychedelics and moving different compounds along the FDA drug approval process. And my goal with this podcast is as these trials progress and activists continue to push for decriminalization and psychedelic compounds become more of a discussion topic in society, I wanted to create a platform that kind of like just follows this remarkable shift because I do think it's going to be a big deal. I think psychedelics, if they do accomplish what a lot of early researchers say they could accomplish, I mean, we could see a really dramatic shift in the way we treat mental health in our country. Another reason for starting this podcast is within the psychedelic renaissance, there is a lack of diversity. There's not many Black voices in the space, so I kind of want to just offer another perspective through a different lens, to bring to the table in discussing these powerful substances. Now, obviously, I do not condone any type of illegal activity. A lot of psychedelic compounds like psilocybin and DMT are Schedule One drugs in most countries. The premise of this project is solely to educate and just provide information. I think as more and more people encounter this information, they're gonna go down rabbit holes to try to read and learn as much as possible. So I have a lot of interviews lined up with a lot of thought leaders, researchers, and also business people that are involved in the space. So if you're somebody who's just like trying to learn this information and kind of figure it out, I want the Arter Project to be a platform for that. And also, like I mentioned, offer a perspective from a Black man and a person of color within the space, because I do think there's an extra added layer or obstacle that's going to be presented, in a challenge for destigmatizing these drugs, because I do think there's going to be an added challenge for the destigmatization of these drugs, especially and particularly in the Black community. The war on drugs left its imprint on the Black community. So as these compounds become legal, and they're approved through the FDA, there's still going to be challenges and hurdles to destigmatize them for the Black community. And I just want to add my voice into the conversation to kind of help educate and teach. Like I said, like I keep saying, that as these compounds become more and more popular and accepted. So background information on myself, actually I was actually introduced to psychedelics like many other people through Michael Pollan's book How to Change Your Mind. After reading that book, I kind of went through a rabbit hole myself, man. I got through, started reading the McKenna brothers and Stan Groff and Aldous Huxley and all these legendary great thinkers who, have created this beautiful bodies of research that are, helping inform researchers today. So it's incredible, man. I read it and I was immediately hooked. Particularly, I've always been into like meditation and yoga and stuff. And psychedelics it's like a weird intersectionality between like the science of the West and philosopher different teachings that philosophers in the East have talked about. And like it's like a weird it's just a weird space that people that researchers are uncovering, and it's really really fascinating to me. Um, I had a psychedelic experience with ketamine. Ketamine was the first psychedelic approved by the FDA for use. So it's legal, man. There's clinics all across the country. And this is something that kind of worked for me. After reading Pollen's book, I looked up, different ketamine clinics in my area. I found one. I hope to have my doctor on the podcast actually in a future episode to kind of discuss ketamine more in depth. But it truly was life changing for me. Transformative experience that, I never really considered myself depressed per se. A bit of anxiety. I did have a smoking addiction as well that was, kind of like fixed immediately from ketamine. But I mean, the big thing for me, man, is I actually, I'm an entrepreneur. So I had various different side hustles and all types of different businesses, but I was still working my full-time job in corporate America. And psychedelics kind of really just gave me that push. Like it gave me that like confidence to really go out and chase my dreams and become a full-time entrepreneur. So was a transformative experience, man. I'm a completely different person since my infusions than prior. So that's another reason why I started this platform and this podcast, because of my own personal experience going to ketamine infusion clinics. And again, we're going to have so many different guests on to talk about these things, talk about these compounds, different thought leaders and business folks and researchers, like I mentioned. So again, this is the very first episode. This is the Arter Project. It's a blog. Be sure to check out the blog, thearterproject.com. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Arter Project. I'm still learning TikTok, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it, and we're gonna learn and document this beautiful time in research. And it's dope. It's dope. So appreciate you for listening. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, and check out the blog as well. Some dope interviews lined up. And that's about it, man. It's the very first episode of the Arter Project. Signing out. Hope you enjoyed the content.